Once upon a time, in a small town, lived a cheerful little boy named Tony. He lived with his loving parents in a cozy house filled with laughter and warmth. Tony was an only child, and he often wished for a pet to play with him. One day, his father surprised him with 2 adorable ducklings. Tony's eyes sparkled with joy as he held them in his hands. He decided to name them Quacky and Wacky. Tony spent every day feeding them, playing with them, and giving them little baths. He loved his new friends and took care of them as if they were his little siblings. He built them a cozy shelter and made sure they were safe at all times. One day Tony couldn't find Quacky and Wacky anywhere. He searched every corner of their home, his heart racing with fear. His eyes filled up with tears as he thought about his lost ducklings. After a long search, he found them hiding in a corner. The relief that washed over him was overwhelming. From that day onwards, Tony became extra careful about the safety of his ducklings. However, fate had other plans. One day, Tony found the shelter empty. His heart sank as he called out for Quacky and Wacky, but there was no response. They were gone for real this time. Tony was heartbroken. His cheerful demeanor faded, replaced with sadness. Days turned into weeks, and he refused to eat despite his parents' best efforts to comfort him. His mother prepared his favorite curry, hoping it would tempt him to eat. But Tony merely looked at the food, his mind filled with thoughts of his lost friends, Quacky and Wacky. Seeing his son's persistent sorrow, Tony's father decided it was time to reveal the truth. With a heavy heart, he confessed the real story behind the disappearance of Quacky and Wacky. Tony's beloved pets had been used to make the curry that he had eaten. The revelation hit Tony hard. He felt a wave of grief wash over him, and he cried harder than he ever had before. His parents tried their best to console him. They explained that they hadn't realized the depth of Tony's bond with the ducklings. They hoped he would understand and forgive them. As time passed, Tony slowly came to terms with the truth. He missed Quacky and Wacky immensely, but he knew he couldn't change what had happened. He made a decision, a lifetime promise to his lost friends. Tony chose to become a vegan. He promised himself that he would never eat meat again, as a way of honoring the bond he had shared with Quacky and Wacky. This decision brought about a significant change in his life. The transition was not easy. Tony had to give up many of his favorite foods, but every time he felt the urge to give up, he thought about Quacky and Wacky, and his resolve would strengthen. Tony's parents supported his decision. They too switched to a vegan diet, in an attempt to make amends for their mistake and to show their son that they respected his choice. Years later, Tony was a healthy and happy young man. His decision to become a vegan had positively affected his life. He had learned to love and respect all forms of life, and he often shared his story to inspire others. He often visited schools, sharing his story with the students. Many were moved by his love for Quacky and Wacky and his decision to honor their memory by leading a vegan lifestyle. Tony's story touched many hearts and inspired many others to reconsider their dietary choices. His tale of love, loss, and commitment to a cause was a testament to his love for his feathered friends. Tony never forgot Quacky and Wacky. Their memory lived on in his heart, guiding his actions and decisions. They were no longer with him, but their impact on his life was everlasting. In the end, Tony's love for his pets led him to a path of compassion and empathy. His story serves as a reminder of the deep bond between humans and animals and the profound change that can come from loss.